So I almost got caught out with a parking charge notice shopping at Aldi, and it's only because I have an inquiring mind that I got away with it. And I say got away with it because as I was leaving the store, I noticed that other people were doing something on some kind of screen, and I was actually there twice, and so this is a really narrow escape. So I've been back to this Aldi numerous times when I'm on holiday, and never before have I noticed these screens, never before have I put my number plate into one of these screens, but this time was different. So as I say, we'd been into the store twice, and the second time was to retrieve some things that we forgot the first time round because we didn't have a list this time round. So it's only because we went back into the store, and when we were on the way out, I saw these people milling around the side of the store. Now, the first time I exited, I paid no attention to it. I saw them there, but I paid them no attention. The second time, having retrieved the things that we forgot the first time round, I noticed these people on these screens, and being curious as I am, I had a look over. And sure enough, it's one of these machines that Aldi announced, I think 2014 or 2015, that they were going to roll out in certain shops around the country, whereby you have to put your vehicle registration number into this screen to validate your parking. But this also gave rise to another question, which I'll come back to in a minute. But sure enough, I put my registration number in this machine, and hopefully I won't be receiving a £100 parking charge notice. But the question that came up is something that a lot of people have asked in the questions before now, and someone emailed me last night or the night before, and they said this is a situation they are in. They drove into a car park, they drove around, there was no space. They drove out, they drove into a different car park, they drove around, there was no space, they came out. They are now worried that they're going to receive 2 parking charge notices because they've been in 2 car parks, couldn't park, but they will be caught on the ANPR, the automatic number plate recognition systems, going into and out of each car park without paying for parking or putting their registration number into any kind of validation machine. That gives rise to a question. Now, the very simple question is this: did they park? And if the answer is no, then any parking charge notice would not be valid. And so the first time we went into this Aldi car park, I couldn't find a car parking space, so we drove around a little bit. Eventually I found one, but I was that close to leaving, but I was obviously recorded going into the car park. Now, having gone into the store, it did have a photograph of the vehicle with the number plate and everything else to say that we went in at a certain time, and if I had not put the number plate into the machine, perhaps I would have received one of these parking charge notices through the post, having not validated the parking. But obviously I wouldn't have validated the parking if I couldn't find anywhere to park and been into the store. So that leaves there a question mark. And it's a very simple question with a very simple answer, legally speaking. If you didn't park, then any parking charge notice will not be valid, because it's only valid if you've parked the vehicle. So if you went into and out of a car park without parking because you couldn't find anywhere and you get a parking charge notice through the post, I would be challenging it, and I would go to court and say we didn't park there because we went somewhere else. Now, the email that was sent to me did exactly that. They said they went into 2 separate car parks, didn't find parking, went to a third, found somewhere to park, and obviously have the receipt from the store, having been to that separate car park. And I think they paid at the third car park, which also adds to the evidence that they didn't park in either of the first 2. Now, if you want somewhere to store your evidence, we have an app called Proofify, which you can store all of your evidence on. It will date and timestamp everything so you can refer back to it later. Check that out. It's linked in the description below. It's my app. I had it developed for this very purpose of storing evidence. And these situations are very easily resolved if someone has any kind of proof that they did not go to that car park to park, and in fact they parked somewhere else. Even if that's GPS tracking that they went elsewhere. I know you have to be a little bit pedantic these days, but if you've been into a car park and you come out without parking, without paying, without validating, it should be on your mind. I mean, it really shouldn't, but it has to be on your mind that you have to deal with this just in case they hit you with a parking charge notice. So I've now got this in mind. So I've now taken the photographs, I've stored the photographs, and if it becomes necessary, I'll produce these to say we did validate the parking with the registration number in this screen. So that covers a few questions that have popped up, but also just as a warning, because we've been back to this particular store many times over the last however many years, and I've never noticed it before, which means one of 2 things. Either it was never there before and it's just new, but these are not new across the country. They've been installed in various places around the country. So maybe this particular location, it is new. Or secondly, it's always been there and I've never noticed it, which is a bit odd. I don't think that's the case because I've noticed other people using it this time around, and on the balance of probabilities, it's more likely with me, with an inquiring mind, that I would have noticed other people using it before, or I would have just noticed the machine before, or I would have received a parking charge notice before, one of those. So I think it's new to this location at least, and therefore be vigilant, because whilst these are not a new thing, they may be newly introduced to the store that you regularly go to. So if you regularly go there and you know that there isn't one there, keep an eye out in case overnight it pops up and you didn't spot it before. And that might save you 100, or if they halve it or reduce it within 14 days to £60 or whatever they do, it will save you a hefty chunk of money when they send you one of these notices. Because if you don't validate the parking and they don't agree to retrospectively validate the parking, then it will be valid and they will go to court and sue you for it, and they will succeed, most likely. So I hope that's useful. So take it as a warning, and just be vigilant about these places that you go to. So with that, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.